Hey guys, Soulard here, back in with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Spawn's Universe Sinn, aka Cagliostro, brought to us by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys. And yes, you heard me right, this is Spawn, aka Al Simmons' old mentor, Cagliostro, not to be confused with that old Cartoon Network show Code Lyoko. Anyone remember that? CG was kind of funky in that one. But either way, CGI anime, anybody? Cagliostro here, apparently in Spawn's universe, is an evil mother trucker now. So he shaved his head, went to the same, costume shop as Dr. Doom and Lex Luthor, and here we are. Yeah, kind of interesting how that works. But before I get too far ahead of myself, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all, almost called him Cagliostro, Sinn has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with a couple of effects for his hands. Get these two kind of necroplasm energy effects, which are pretty cool. I dig these. They're different than the ones we've seen a million times that come with the Mortal Kombat spawns, or I should say 11 spawns. And he also has this base, which has this necroplasm shooting out of it, so that's pretty cool. I do dig that. And that's your lot, other than the typical, came right off it, hockey puck display stand. We're used to seeing with all McFarlane Toys releases. And here is Sinn. And much like the medieval Spawn I looked at earlier today, if these videos go up according to plan, that is, he's tight enough, but he's loose enough to be a problem, especially in the ankles. The ankles on mine kind of suck, not gonna lie. But I can get him to stand just fine, but still. I think McFarlane really needs to push tightening joints. Like, I will take tighter joints over platinum variants at this point, because I never find those anyways, and I'd rather the figures not suffer due to overproduction, overuse of the molds. So as far as articulation on this guy goes, his head will rotate side to side. We'll look down, look up a bit, can tilt as well. Big collar doesn't get in the way too much. Shoulders go out to the side about that far, not bad. Go back down, they rotate forward and back. He does have a little butterfly in there. Bicep twist. Double jointed elbow. Is that just one joint? Holy crap. Alright. So he has a double joint, but on this side it's stuck apparently. Can't get that top one to bend. Let's see if I can. There we go. Very tight there, but it does work. I wish the ankles were that tight, All the leg joints, if they were that tight as these elbows, would be gang. But like, listen to that crunch. Holy shit! Sounds like bones cracking. He does have ball hinge wrists, so of course you can hinge them in and out or up and down depending on how you have it rotated. But that's your lot for that. He does have a double ball peg in the torso, but honestly, it's not worth talking about. You're mostly going to get a swivel out of it, and even then, you're going to rotate this bottom piece. It does get some forward and back and some tilt side to side. It's a little loose on mine, because of course it is. When the torso's tight, that's a problem, but when it's loose, it's great. I'm being sarcastic, of course. Why the hell are the torsos tight on McFarlane's lately? I don't understand it. He does have a waist twist. That gives you more than the torso. A lot more. Even tilt forward and back, even. So there you go. He's got the chains hanging off his belt. The hips kick out pretty far. At least that side does. This side ain't because of this tunic piece there. They do rotate forward and back. I don't think he has a thigh cut to speak of. really. Not really getting one out of that, so no. I would say no thigh cut on this guy. Though, the way his armor is designed, you can almost fudge one in there. And then his knees are double jointed. Very tight on those. I think he's got the weird knees. No. He doesn't seem to be pushing forward too much. But he does have, and I'll use this one, the new kind of clicky ball hinges in the ankles. So you can rotate them all the way around. They kind of pop into place. And then the rocker also kind of clicks into place, but this one on mine is a little looser than the other side. But that's okay because it's still tight. It's not floppy loose. On top of that, he does have a toe joint, which thankfully is not loose. But the ankle hinges on this guy are pretty trash. I'm not gonna lie. These are terrible. These should have been a lot heavier detented. I don't know what's going on there. Could just be mine. Very well could be, but yeah, cool figure. I like him. Not perfect though, like Medieval Spawn. This wave was kind of the last wave for imperfections though. I think they definitely got better when they did Disruptor and the King Spawn and the Reaper. At least as far as the quality of the physical figure goes. You know, the sculpts are fine. And the articulation was a little better. As far as, you know, what do you want to call it? Tension in the joints and her tightness and whatnot. Although if all the joints were tight like the elbows on this guy, I wouldn't have any problems with it, because those things are tight as shit. But we'll be taking a look at some of those later this week, so stay tuned for that. So, with that being said, I think it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Sinn, aka Cagliostro, or in this case, not so good Cagliostro, because he is, in fact, evil, alongside his wavemate Medieval Spawn, we looked at earlier today, so long as these videos are uploaded in the order I had in mind anyways. Fingers crossed that comes to fruition. And then we also have our regular for old Spawn week. This is the Batman v Spawn 2-pack Spawn. As I mentioned again in the Medieval Spawn review, it is the Evergreen Spawn that should appease everyone as far as aesthetic and articulation goes. And, you know, I don't believe Cagliostro and Spawn were the same height, so Cagliostro, aka Sinn, aka whatever you want to call him. It's the same thing, really. Being a little shorter than good old Al Simmons here, I think that makes a lot of sense and totally works. So, getting these two out of here. Hopefully not knocking him over, because all these plastic capes, yeah, not the easiest thing to work with. And we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith, right there. And, of course, the infamous 11 Spawn, who is ever so slightly taller than a good old Sinn there. So, with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and while I have to believe that most of us would have probably preferred a more traditional and or classic version of good old Cagliostro, aka Sinn here. Last I checked, this was Spawn's Universe, not Spawn's Universe Classics. See what I did there? It's a Motu reference. Either way, if this is what Cagliostro looks like nowadays, I think the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys did a fine job with this figure. Arguably a little better than Medieval Spawn, who I personally have way more attachment to. But at the end of the day, that's how the cookie crumbles, isn't it? So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.